sponsored by Starbucks. I wish.
Giving him a free spot.
Yeah.
Dude, I brought Mark.
I wish.
I brought Mark a cold brew earlier, and he was like,
You don't drink coffee.
No, I don't drink coffee.
Have you
What?
drank coffee before? I wanted to ask that.
I used to be a caffeine-aholic, dude.
Is this part of the transition
my
into
transition.
being healthier?
It was one of the biggest kicks, right, for me. So,
Okay.
I mean, so when I was like 34, I started feeling heart palpitations one day, right? And like severe heart palpitations. I go to the urgent care. They like look at me. By that time, I'm fine.
That's right. That's
you know
probably
what I mean?
the start of it.
So a few months go by. A bunch of stuff's happened in my life. Just had a second child. I was getting laid off from my job. And just like the stress was crazy. And all of a sudden, these heart palpitations again. This time, they're not going away. Right? So I go to urgent care, and they're literally like, no, we're calling you an ambulance, and we're taking you to the emergency room. So they diagnosed me with atrial fibrillation.
yeah.
And at that time, one of the biggest kickers for atrial fibrillation is caffeine. And not only was I drinking coffee, I was pounding like 2 or 3 monsters a day.
So
the
there's
full sugar monsters back when?
The full,
Cause they
actually, I think they were the non-sugar monsters.
Yeah.
Which is even worse, really.
Are they?
You know what I mean? They're more toxic. There's more, because I not only was I giving myself heart palpitations, but at the same time I was probably developing a brain tumor too. Who knows? You know what I mean? So it's it was really bad. And
Did you have to go to Coffee Anonymous? Because Mark and I need to go to this shit.
I had motivation though, right? It was like I was and so I traded my coffee for a bottle of Tylenol for a couple weeks because the headaches were insane, and
I
they
can
were
imagine.
intense headaches. But that was kind of the first thing I did to cleanse myself, was got rid of the caffeine. So I switched to herbal teas because I still like drinking something hot.
Yeah.
Right, so I switched to herbal teas.
Still little caffeine in those?
No, there's no caffeine in herbal teas. So herbal teas are things like mint.
Oh, okay.
You know, chamomile. I was doing a lot of chamomile tea back then because my nerves were so high, right? You know, like my you know, I was like, it's fun. Like if I have a chamomile tea now in the morning, I just want to go back to bed. But at that time in my life, I was drinking it like 3 or 4 times a day,
just because it was something to stimulate, and
it would keep me kind of calm. That along with the medication that the doctors put me on at the time.
Oh man, let's get into that. Oh, well, let's first introduce you. You're Darel Ison, and you're with Optimal Lives.
Yes.
Tell us first how you, I mean, obviously, was the atrial fib the first thing that really opened your eyes to
That was the first thing that opened my eyes, and then I went through a 90-day cycle of being diagnosed with all kinds of other issues. And I was like 280 pounds at the time, 275,
You gotta start posting these pictures, because you wrote in your email too, like obesity.
Here's the problem with me. I didn't take pictures of myself back then, guys. I hated pictures of myself, so I don't have a lot of pictures of myself. I really have to dig for them.
This is fair, because in the gym, we have a lot of people that have success, and I always ask for the before, and the ones that are heavier set are like, oh, I just didn't take a lot of pictures. So it's very common. I think it's internal, where you like avoid the camera, or some sort of angle, or just a headshot.
Or you're always the one taking pictures. I'm taking pictures of my family and stuff. Like, I don't need to be in it. Or if it is, it's just a headshot.
Well, when you wrote obesity, I was like, clinically obesity? Because Mark's obese, technically, so...
The BMI.
By his BMI.
Yeah. Well, my BMI, technically, I'm overweight right now.
Okay,
right.
Category. I mean, it's, but I'm like 15% body fat, which is high for me, but still, it's not like obese.
280, let's say.
Yeah,
okay, how tall are you, and then how heavy are you right now?
I'm 5'10 and a half.
Okay.
I used to be 5'11.
And then how much do you weigh now?
I had back surgery. I weigh like 190 right now.
Oh. Yeah. Nice, 90-pound drop.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I dropped down to 173 at my bottom. But I didn't have the muscle mass.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's like the opposite spectrum of
the skinny fat, we call it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't have called myself skinny fat once I got down to 173, because I was working out all the time. Mm-hmm. I got myself, but I didn't have a lot of bulk from muscle mass.
Did you do, in terms of, besides the nutrition, did you do a lot of cardio to get it down too?
It was a lot of, you know what, so for me, it started out pretty simple, because I was having these heart issues, right? I had acid reflux, a bunch of other issues. I had sleep apnea. I was sleeping with the mask at night. I'm like, I can tell you guys, just a Western disease. Think about any Western disease almost, I probably had it. And what would happen with me is, like, after I started having those issues, like, I couldn't get to the top of the stairs of my house without being winded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let alone carrying one of my kids. So I was so riddled with anxiety. I was so riddled with everything at the time that like just walking to the mailbox, it was the start for me. And then walk a little further and a little further every day. And then, 12 months later, I'm walking like 3 to 5 miles a day. Walking my dog 3 to 5 miles a day. And that was kind of the start. That was my exercise start. I didn't see a gym for 12 months when I first got started. Didn't even walk into a gym. It was just, I was doing that. I had some resistance bands at home I was using in addition to that. And I had a recumbent bike. That because I was so glued to the TV all the time, that was kind of nice. I'd watch my football or watch whatever. I don't even watch TV anymore. But yeah, it's just to move. Something to like kind of break out of the cycle. And for me, one of the biggest motivations for me was that my mom and dad both had AFib, and I looked at what happened to them. And like my mom was on over 30 medications when she passed away. My dad, who passed away this year, was on, I don't know how many. He was like on 20 something probably at the time.
Were you on meds when you found that you had AFib, or did you go the holistic route right away?
So I went meds first, right? So I was on no meds basically. Found out I have AFib, and then it was like the science experiment begins with the doctors, because everybody has different triggers and everybody has different things. It was like, so first thing they wanted to do was, first thing I had a clot in my heart. Apparently I'd been in AFib for a while and I didn't know it. So I had a clot formed in my heart, so they couldn't even get me a normal rhythm. They were like, whoa, they had to put me on blood thinners. So that was the start. Blood thinners and stuff to break up that clot. After that broke up after a few months, then they wanted to do a cardioversion, which is basically they stop your heart. You maybe know this, and then they restart. So they kill you, and they bring you back.
Oh, no big deal.
Yeah, no big.
It's clinical.
It's no biggie. No biggie.
Wow.
I mean, that's what they act like. No big deal. So they did it twice, and both times while I was there, they did it twice, and I went right back into AFib.
Whoa.
So then it was
scary procedure, dude.
Yeah. So and the problem is your heart is a muscle, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens? Muscles get memory, right? So your heart's no different. If your heart's out of rhythm for a long time, it gets this memory and it wants to go back to that crappy rhythm.
Gotcha.
Right?
That makes sense.
Right. So what happens is you end up just trying to break that cycle, and it's almost like the stuff you were teaching me with my muscle stuff when I was doing the FixFit thing, right?
Accustomed to moving.
Like I got to really think now when I'm doing a squat. Engage these things,
except
right?
Your heart's autonomic.
Hinge at my hips, not my knees. All these things that Mark's taught me. But yeah, but you got to retrain your heart. So the medication helps to retrain the heart.
So you needed it.
So I needed the medication. Yeah. I was on like the highest doses of flecainide, which our conversation we had with our buddy Neil. He's on the same thing right now, but he's coming down off of it, right? So I went through that same experience that he did with having to trim it down as I got healthier. And I was on something else. There was a number of different things they put me on for like blood pressure, because my blood pressure was high too. Which kind of goes along with AFib. Your blood pressure's usually high at that point. And then my cholesterol was high, right? So I'm on like 7 or 8 different medications now, because also for acid reflux. I started choking on food. Like I couldn't get food down. Like I'd drink water, like meat, chicken, that kind of stuff would get stuck. Turned out like my esophagus, because of my acid reflux, had gotten really narrow. It's down at the bottom, so they had to go in and stretch that.
Very dangerous, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was on those pills along with all that stuff. So I'm like,
this is at 34.
This is at 34 years old, man. So I'm like falling apart, guys. I'm like
looking
at
cardiology appointment.
I'm like looking at my parents like I do not want to go there. I don't want to be that.
Yeah, you saw the future of it.
I saw my future. Yeah. I saw my future, and my future was not good, and it was not long. And so I was trying to find a way out, and it was hard to find it. So this is 11 or 12 years ago, right? I'm 45 now, so like 11. Call it 11. It's almost 12 years ago now when it all started. And there wasn't a lot of information at the time. There wasn't a lot of health food restaurants, even here in San Diego. There wasn't a lot of vegetarian, vegan, organic. There wasn't,
if there was, it was expensive.
Yeah,
still is kind of a little bit.
You had a couple Whole Foods in town. You had Jimbo's, and you had some Sprouts here and there, or whatever.
Costco wasn't organic yet.
Costco wasn't organic yet, so everything was super expensive. Yeah. But I didn't even know that this is what I should be eating. How do you get from this being brought up in a family where we didn't eat fast food and stuff, but we ate like.
I was going to ask, like, what got you to like, what kind of diet and lifestyle got you to the 280 and all these health issues?
Yeah, so let's rewind, I guess, a little bit, like way back. So I was kind of a normal healthy kid till I was about like maybe in first or second grade. Then I started putting on weight. And now I look back and I know what it was because my mom cooked. She cooked well. She cooked from scratch. I mean, back then a lot of stuff was organic.
Yeah.
And we grew a lot of stuff in our garden. But where my calories were coming from was a glass of milk with every meal. Mm-hmm. And I didn't drink water. I drank Kool-Aid.
Wow.
The Kool-Aid diet.
Yeah.
I literally, when I calculate now, I was drinking an extra 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day.
Wow.
And so, at 12 years old,
Kool-Aid has water, though.
My weight at 12 years old was the same weight that I had when I left boot camp at 18 years old.
Wow.
169 pounds.
Jeez. Well. And in boot camp for what?
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. So, obviously more fit at that point, but you had the same weight at 12.
and I had learned kind of through my own research back then that, okay, drinking Kool-Aid is not a good thing. Once I got in my teen years, I was like, look, I want to get healthy. I want a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. I've always been into girls. So, it's like I wanted that. And I'm like,
starting to have a more solid why.
I had a why, right?
Yeah.
I went through puberty. I had a why, and I wanted to get healthy.
Not just Kool-Aid.
So I switched to diet soda.
Ooh, there you
Bad
go.
idea, but now we know. And I was drinking a lot of water. And I wasn't drinking as much milk anymore. I just have a glass with dinner or whatever.
I've had so many people say their freshman 15 was accumulated from unlimited milk at their cafeteria, like the food cart in the college days. And it'd be like unlimited milk. Like that was kind of expensive growing up, so they would go down there like all the time. I've had multiple patients tell me that before.
Yeah, and it's so easy to drink and so many calories.
So many calories.
But then you look throughout life, like the food quality was always the issue after that, mm-hmm. right? Because now we're into the 90s, in the early 2000s, and the quality of the food had gone way down mm-hmm. in our world. Lots of processed foods. I was eating a lot of processed foods. I was working a high stress IT job. I was out of the Marine Corps at 25. I was still in good shape when I got out of the Marine Corps, and then the pounds started coming on. And it wasn't a lot at one time. It just, next thing you know, you're 200 pounds. Next thing you know, you're 205. And then I got into, I had my first kid, got married, had a really stressful job, was eating a lot of fast food because I was bouncing around clients and stuff. Lots of Jack in the Box. The ultimate cheeseburger was my favorite back then. The curly fries, that was the thing, man.
Good old Jack.
I'm blaming Jack. But
buttermilk ranch.
Yeah, and so it just all, I was literally feeding my body nothing but toxins, right? So I mean, one of my favorite sayings, I don't know who said it because it's quoted all over the place, is you're either feeding health or you're feeding disease. One or the other. There's no in-between food. And right? There's no neutral food.
And I said the same thing to him while I was assessing him. I was like, this is Julian Pinot's quote from Strong Fit. It's either you're feeding the imbalance or you're fixing it. So with whatever exercise you're doing, there's no gray or a neutral.
There's also movement. No original quotes anymore.
Exactly.
They're all
it's the information age right now.
It is.
We're all just citing each other. As long as you cite each other.
You just kind of make it your own.
Yeah.
As long as people understand, that's all that really matters.
Right. And that's the key to getting people to understand. So that's really what I try to do as a health coach, right? Is to, a lot of people go on diets, things like that. We really look at diets are our enemy, right? Diets are evil, they're our enemy. Diets are all about limiting something. Mm-hmm. You're taking something away.
Yep.
Right? Now, people could argue, well, your lifestyle change program takes away all my processed food. Well, yeah, but we're keeping all the real food there. We're only taking away fake food. Mm-hmm. Right, so we're not saying you can never eat bread. We're not saying you can never eat rice. We're not saying what we are saying is we teach people about traffic light eating, which is red light, green light, yellow light type stuff. Right, if it's got a green light, eat all you want. Fruits and vegetables. You can't eat more than you can metabolize anyway. You just get too full.
Yeah, good luck trying to eat all you can eat like broccoli.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see how quick that stops you.
Exactly. So and then we start talking about yellow light foods. They're they are like your grains. your whole grains, right? Or not your bleached white stuff, right?
Wait, where does white rice fall under?
White rice is interesting, right?
Big debate.
I'm asking for a friend.
There is a huge debate on this, right?
There is,
and I don't know where I even stand on it, because at one point I was like, brown rice, that's it, right?
Me too. Growing up is like, brown rice is the healthy rice.
Right, but then I start learning about like lectins and things like that.
Brown rice is worse than white rice.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. Like, lectins cause inflammation in my body.
Yeah.
And what I try to teach my clients is what we want to do is we want to eat foods that promote an anti-inflammatory response in your system, right? So that kind of goes back to that same quote. So what it's really doing when you eat something, you're either reducing inflammation or you're increasing inflammation in your body. That's really what's really happening underneath. And what a lot of folks don't understand is that all of these diseases, and I'm going to say fibromyalgia, all of these diseases, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, any of these Western diseases,
purely
IBS,
inflammatory.
They're all inflammation is the root cause.
I would say allergies too.
I would tell a fibro person
it's inflammation's a cause of allergies.
I would think a lot of fibro patients could get rid of their shit by not eating inflammation.
Yeah.
Or not eating an inflammatory diet easily.
Right.
If we looked at their food intake, it's probably not good.
Yeah, so we really try to focus getting people to eat the right foods.
Yeah.
Right? Here's what you should be eating, because then there's the whole palate change that has to happen. Right? Like, hey guys, 11 years ago, if you put kale on my plate,
yeah,
it ain't going.
Still,
I would have had to put like 5,000 calories of salad dressing on that thing to get it down. You know what I mean?
Still questionable on it.
I brought you some.
I'm gonna do it.
Mine's really good though, because it's fresh.
That's my thing. Is
off today.
Like the Trader Joe's one that's all chopped up already.
It gets dry.
Yeah,
it dries out.
Yeah.
And who knows how long ago
fresh kale. I've gotten fresh kale out of farmers markets way better.
Even you go to like a Jimbo's or Whole Foods or something, you get the organic. Let me use like organic lettuce, right? You get an organic head of lettuce. How long does that last in your refrigerator if you don't use it? Like
a couple days,
2-3 days.
Yeah,
max.
I can cut, like, if you take that lettuce I gave you today, you put it in the fridge, like 2 weeks.
Damn.
Oh shoot.
You know what I mean? Like,
I want to do a garden.
It depends. I mean, if you leave it whole and you don't, if you start chopping it up, then obviously
that's the problem.
More oxidation points and all that. You get into the science of that, but which I get into that with my wife. She likes to cut the salad. It's really, really fine, which I love. But I'm like, can we cut them a little bigger and then cut them finer when we, because like
the oxidation
it goes bad faster. You know what I mean?
Take your oxidation somewhere else.
Dinner time. I don't say anything anymore because she just cuts it the way she wants to say it.
You start learning.
Well, it's a healthy marriage. It sounds like a healthy, happy marriage. There, Darel.
All right. So
I grow a lot of lettuce, so if some of it goes bad, it's not a big deal.
So, 25 years old, out of the military, 9 years to get to AFib and all
get to my my optimal size.
Some could call it rock bottom.
Rock bottom.
I would say it was rock bottom.
No,
because
we had a conversation, and you're like, you have a laundry list of all the, like you said, Western diseases, even anxiety and all the above. So after the 9 years to get there, because stressful job and not working out, eating Jack in the Box, then you started to, like, what's the timeline after that? When did you start looking into like the journey towards being like the health coach, right?
Right, and
how long did that take?
That's what it was. It's a journey, right? I mean, I would say it took me like 4 years, maybe 5, to get to the upswing, which is what I mean by like everything up to that point was learning, educating, getting to the optimal plan for me. Right, and getting my weight to.
Isn't that interesting? It's like 4 years of learning, like college or whatever. Because people come to you, Ben, and me, they expect a 30-day Whole30 reset. It's like, put in 4 years of educating yourself and trying stuff, right? Like,
right.
That's good to hear.
Which is what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to save people in that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much information out there. And it's like, and my education was, I got certified as a health coach, but I didn't learn anything in that certification program because I already knew it all, because I had watched every documentary that was available at the time on health. Mm-hmm. I had read almost every book. I had listened to multiple podcasts on the subject, over and over again. So it's like, I've got on my website this library of everything that I've listened to, and it took me a while to put it together, just thinking, all right, go back, and figure it all out. But like, that's what people are getting, right? They get that in like a 90-day program to kind of turn yourself around, but you're not fixed at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got, all we're doing is, it takes about 90 days for someone to change their lifestyle. So that's why we say 90 days is kind of the perfect amount of time. 21 days for a new habit, 90 days for a complete lifestyle modification, right? Or something you're going to do for the rest of your life. But you have to continue to do it. And the hard part for a lot of people are the people that are around them or surround them, right?
Of course.
You know,
I can attest to that.
And you get like,
family likes to go out to eat and stuff, things like that.
Yeah, and you're the party pooper, because you're like, hey, for me, my first thing was the cholesterol. That was my big catalyst, my big change, right? Was like when I 3 months into this thing, I go to see my regular doctor, and they just did blood work. He's like, yeah, your cholesterol's like 250 something, and I'm like, okay, so what's this mean? He goes, I'm going to put you on Lipitor. I'm like, I've been reading this book, The China Study, which this lady Louise that I worked with at the company I work at now, she said, look, I know you're struggling, you're trying to do this stuff, like, why don't you read this book? And so I read this book, The China Study, and it was all about, the benefits of eating a vegan diet, basically. It's the Forks Over Knives book, basically. It's the book that started the whole Forks Over Knives movement. And so I went vegan. I was like, let me try this vegan thing. And my doctor was like, that's not going to do anything. He basically gave me a worksheet that told me to eat more chicken instead of red meat, which I don't know if you guys saw my Instagram post the other day, but I break that down, right? Like, no, there's actually more cholesterol in chicken than there is in red meat if you're eating grass-fed, like, beef, right? Mm-hmm. It's like there's more cholesterol in that. And then people eat twice as much because there's less calories. I can eat more chicken. There's less calories, right? So it actually does nothing. So I went vegan.
Did you go vegan right when, like, the beginning of this, or is this like how
this was like maybe 2 to 3 months in after I was diagnosed with AFib.
Got it. So it's pretty early.
Yeah, it was like, pretty early, and by all means, I was not a clean vegan, right? I was what would be considered, if you look today, like a fat vegan.
You met a few of those.
You know what I mean? Like I was a processed food vegan. I was eating the Morningstar stuff and all the other, you know what I mean? But for me, it was like I needed to change something in my life that was going to start pointing me in the right direction. I could not conceive of taking another medication.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect vegan, let's say, but there might be soy products and whatnot, but it was way better than Jack in the Box.
It was, and I started losing weight too, which was key. I had to lose weight, and that's part of getting healthy. So within about 6 months, I had dropped about 30 or 40 pounds somewhere. I didn't really track it. So. And then it slowed down.
Yeah, of course.
Or was that plateau?
Yeah, it plateaued out. But when you look at it, on average, I lost a pound a week over the course of like 3 years to get down to like the 173 or whatever it was, right? So actually, I was over the course of like 2 years, 2.5 years. It was somewhere around a pound to lose 100 pounds. So a little bit less than that a week, however you figure it out, right? But that's the thing that I try to explain to people. Like, look, if you just like, people want to lose weight so fast.
Of course.
Like I want to, I can drop 5 pounds in 3 days if I want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But is that really healthy? Is that going to last? It's not going to last, because I'm going to turn around and eat the same thing that I was eating before, and it's going to come right back on, right? Now, if you totally change your lifestyle and you're eating a healthier diet every single day, and you just focus on, hey, if I'm averaging a pound a week, well, if you're 50 pounds overweight, guess what? In a year, you're going to be at your ideal weight. Yeah. If you're 100 pounds overweight, it's going to be 2 years, and it's going to be lasting change, because now over the course, it took you a year, 2 years to get there. So you have adapted and you've changed your lifestyle.
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going on a
while we
diet. We're not going on a crash diet. I do recommend juice cleanses every so often if you have a Vegas weekend. You know what I mean? And I'll do that. Like, I'll be like, wife and I went to Vegas. We just ate, drank, whatever. We didn't care. And like now I'm like,
probably good to do that.
3-day juice cleanse. That's it.
It's good to go.
Don't even work out that hard.
Yeah.
Don't even work that hard for those couple days, and like,
it's good for your
clean it up.
Neurological system to kind of give it a rest, reset.
That's
And
we're
not talking like sugary juices. We're talking like the green stuff that tastes like crap.
That the mindset too is that like, what, the health coach goes to Vegas, it's like, or the FixFit guy maybe tweaked his back or something. Yeah. It's like, there has to be that reality of just balance in life.
Yeah.
Oh, there has to be. You have to be able to go on vacation. You have to be able to take. You have to. I mean, even when I try to eat a little bit. I don't like go. I'm not like going eating fast food, but I'm also not like hey, yeah, you know what? Those French fries look really good. And yeah, maybe I don't feel good the next day. So that day maybe I eat a little bit better. But it's like, you kind of like on vacation, it's almost like a roller coaster. Yeah. On vacation, like good day, bad day, because you're like, all right, you have regrets.
It's like you said, to actually make lifestyle changes. You're talking 1 to 2 years, depending on your goal. Like that one meal within the 2-year process of being on a path to fix something, like that shouldn't matter.
It doesn't, because as soon as you get back to your normal environment, you're right back in your normal. It's not like I have a craving to go out and have whatever it was bad that I had. You know what I mean? So it's I don't drink the alcohol. I don't whatever. It's like, yeah. I mean,
well, Mark's gym has constant in the past done like nutritional challenges, right? But like the guys that you interviewed, like a Neil, like Darel, what have you seen in terms of like those being like a nice reset for somebody to at least get started, to at least get kicked in the right direction?
Just like to do a fasting challenge or like a...
Yeah, we did like Lou Wrong and like a whole 30 challenge, and you're like, do you not want the gym to promote that kind of stuff anymore? Well, how do you promote long-term change?
Right now, our nutrition challenge is called Jack by July. And it's just, people need things to work towards, right? Like you're saying, your 90-day protocol. Mm-hmm. But this time around, we open it up to changing the intent. We've been doing that a lot at our gym because we're getting better at sharing knowledge or guiding or coaching people. But this time around, it's like you can use this experience, but the goal is to learn. The goal is to try something. And I always tell people nutrition is a skill. So you can't be mastered, and there's no end point. Mm-hmm. So the goal is you're going to try, and you're going to maybe try intermittent fasting. And then you learn what intermittent fasting does to you. And then now you have that in your back pocket, because like a lot of us will maybe have a cheat weekend or something, and everyone's like, oh man, I'm just going to do like a 24-hour fast. So now you have a tool.
Something else in your toolkit.
Right? Yeah, it's a tool. Yeah. You're just learning another skill. So this challenge is, we want people to try things, a Whole30, a paleo, whatever you want to try. But only understand that it's not a diet. It's not going to net you the life change result. You're just like, if you're a CrossFit